has thrown me to the mic so we can analyze what is going on. What an amazing caller. Thinks he's working for the system through Obama. He's got the power at TSA. You've seen those clips over the years, those crazy TSA workers. Not all of them, of course, but the ones who are on a real power trip saying, I've got power. Do you have power, Alex?
He just called in, if you just tuned in, and said he's going to make me bend over and he's going to beat me and all this stuff. But anyways, take some more of these Obama supporters. We've got the big report with yourself, David Knight, and myself with that caller from yesterday where we totally document everything we said when he said Obama doesn't want our guns and that Chicago hasn't banned people's guns. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour, and you got a bunch of key carbon tax news, the proof of how it's meant to shut things down. I'm going to quit bugging you, but great job. Since you were talking about the TSA going, I have power, I have power. And they take their clothes off and run around and announce they're God. That's happened a bunch. We're not joking. These are insane nobodies that want to grab your wife's genitals all day.
And they are just pawns in the state system. But why? Who has power? What is this power about? We are in a fight over the power monopoly as they try to centralize everything. That's why this gun thing is so important. That's why the carbon taxes are so important. They're controlling food so Bill Gates and Monsanto can reap profits worldwide and force you onto their centralized poison foods while they talk up organics and getting kids on healthy lunches, even though they admit in the Daily Mail that school kids eat a lunch worse than prisoners. They analyze the actual nutritional value. So we've got the big gun report coming up. Here's a quote that'll just lead into it. In 2001, during the UN gun debate, it was at King's College, a UN spokesperson said, quote, civilian ownership of firearms in the U.S. threatens the legitimate power monopoly of the state. That's the whole reason we have the Second Amendment right there. The Founding Fathers understood tyranny is natural. Anyone who gravitates towards power wants to control everyone, and genocide, depopulation, just legitimizing your own right to run your life. It's natural to anyone gravitating towards power. The whole reason we try to balance power with individual rights guaranteed under the Bill of Rights, the second among them right after free speech and the right to speak your mind and have your own religion, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Now you've got the Obama administration, the Clintonites, the United Nations people all trying to disarm us, not because they're going to keep us safe. They can't. That's the illusion of this TSA caller. They can't keep us safe. They have never caught a terrorist. The TSA has never stopped anyone. They let the underwear bomber on the plane. They let the 9/11 hijackers through because they were ordered to. It's a corrupt system. They can't and won't protect you. Look at what's going on with FEMA right now. That's why we have to protect ourselves. And the biggest way to protect ourselves is to keep the state from having a total monopoly of power. You've got to have separation of powers. I'm sure a lot of the Obamanoids are not having that. But let's hear, are there any other Obama supporters on the line? We have a Zeke in California. What do you have to say, Zeke?
Yes, that would be me.
Are you, in fact, an Obama supporter?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In terms of the dynamic of the spectrum there, I had to go with Obama on the spread out. Initially, I'm really a Ron Paul guy, a Ron Paul kind of a guy. But then when we deal with the Mitt Romney, I think he's more of a rhino. For those of us that know, that's the Republican in name only type of situation.
Well, there's no doubt about that, but how do you go from Ron Paul to Obama?
Yeah, but see, it's the global body politic that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the face of the world, the face of the United States, someone who is actually has some elements left for being a sound individual and a real individual, but I can even shake it up even more. I also supported Bush against Kerry, because I don't hold Bush, responsible for all the stuff they try to throw on him. Same thing, I don't think it's fair to throw all this stuff on Obama either, because we know it goes beyond Bush, beyond Obama, to their predecessors and many grandparents ago when they set up certain
But what
things.
about the system itself that's being collectivized? You keep identifying with political faces we get over the years. It doesn't make sense. We have to break out from the system. We keep endorsing it when we vote for people like Obama, Bush, you name it. They're only concentrating power. I mean, you don't see that?
Check this out. I would say this, because it's almost like acclimating a fish into another fish tank. if you get a fish from the fish store or whatever, you got to, float it in the bag in the other tank for a minute before you can dump it in there to get the temperatures and everything organized correctly. I think if we were to automatically just like jump up and wake up tomorrow and it'd be just like a Ron Paul environment, people aren't ready to take on that responsibility yet. There's a lot of truth that needs to circulate. There's a lot of things that people need to understand.
Why did you support Obama? I mean, that's why we're taking calls here. How did you come to vote for Obama? What do you think he's going to do that is anything short of horrible?
Yeah, it's more of as a real person, because I think if we have somebody there that's more of a real person, I think the inner city does tie into the global body politic to where you have someone who can identify with the inner city, same way as yourself and Alex Jones, how you all understand there's a certain group of individuals who are not inner city folk who understand what's going on within the inner cities and how things have been unfairly. There's been a major attack, and then not just on the inner city, but the country as a whole. But fortunately, the other side of the dynamic has been waking up over these past few years with the Patriot movement. I found out about Ron Paul through Aaron Russo. I was working with Aaron Russo when he brought up the American Freedom to Fascism, helped get that out in the land and everything like that.
All right. So, I thank you for your call. Of course, Ron Paul has tried to advance the liberty movement, return us to the Constitution. Aaron Russo, the late, great Aaron Russo, had a great documentary exposing how the Federal Reserve has captured this nation. And those are the real issues. Identifying with Obama is not going to get us anywhere. Identifying with Bush, Romney, there's not much to identify with. We are captured by a system which is moving towards total collectivism. I don't know if you understand that, but you've got to start to. These dependent inner city wards are not going to ever get freedom. We want freedom for people who are minorities who can't make ends meet in cities, and people who are losing everything under this economic implosion. You understand they're centralizing the energy controls. They're using these EPA regulations, the new announced move on carbon taxes, so that the crony capitalists, the corporatists who run the global structure, can profit off of it. You've got to understand this. Look at what happened with Enron. They gamed the system in California so they could artificially shut down the supplies, jack up electricity rates, and they're still doing it. All these big banks are. Just last week in the Daily Mail, you had Barclays traders who admittedly rigged American electricity prices to boost their own profits and bragged about it in damning emails. And they list some of those emails. This happens over and over again. And look back a couple years to the whole carbon tax debate. It almost passed through Congress. Now Obama's going to give it another go. If he doesn't do it through the congressional system, he's going to do it through executive fiat, through these new EPA regulations that they've been boiling over and everything else. And what are they doing? They're just gaming the system to force you on to the alternatives so they can extort you, so they can put you into an austerity mode and charge you more for less. And they'll convince you through all this green propaganda, environmentalism nonsense to get onto the system where they're allowed to control everything you do. Look at Agenda 21. Maurice Strong, the biggest figure behind it, preaching this environmentalism, how it needs to take over everywhere. Yeah, you want to look up his actual record. He's involved in stealing water rights in entire states in the Southwest. He's taking over dams from other companies who control them so he can make profits off of them while telling you you need to do less. I'm going to rant about this some more, but let's take another call. Do we have an Obama supporter in Nebraska? Scott, are you there? Hello?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we want to know if you voted for Obama.
I definitely did. I had to.
Here's
my predicament. My back is phase 2. I've had 4 injuries on the workforces as the economy continues to implode. You end up doing jobs that you didn't need to do. I had 3 injuries in a car accident, my fault, and then 2 injuries in the Army. I've been fighting the VA for 2.5 years to get some kind of compensation that I can't get. I haven't paid the taxes on my house for a year and a half, and it's going to go up for auction in the spring sometime if I can't find the money or if the VA doesn't come through.
And how is Obama going to solve your problems, sir?
Well, the Republicans just basically used me up. If you look at the difference between Romney and Obama, Romney wanted to start giving all the money back to the military-industrial complex to keep the wars going. And at least you got a Democrat in there that will help the people that need the help. Because
they're not helping anyone. It's a two-headed beast. Did you not hear me talking about how it's a corporate-controlled, a crony capitalist system? They game and force everyone onto the system so that they have the insider deals to profit off of it. What don't you get?
They may distribute the money from those corporate deals.
Do you know who his Secretary of the Treasury are? Do you know who they're considering as putting in the Secretary of Treasury for Obama? Do you know who these people are, what they've been involved in? Do you understand they created the economic crisis? They deliberately created that bubble and popped it, bet on both sides so they could rake billions and billions off of it, trillions even, as they starved us out. Do you not understand that?
Well, I understand that, but I don't have a choice, because if I went the other way, the Republicans, in order to qualify for any kind of financial support in this state, you can't live off that small amount of money. I mean, I really don't have a choice.
I thank you for your call. Let's see what Kim in Georgia has to say.
You got to go to break. All I want to say is, yeah, you're going to break here, Aaron, doing a great job. Buddy, that's why they destroy the economy, so you don't have a choice. That's why they said the hurricanes were good, because then it made you love them. Michael Moore said that. So did Turd Matthews.
Oh, look how well they're taking care of them, Alex.
That's what this is all about, until they just line you up and machine gun you. They only give you the chicken feed up front to get you addicted so they can take over. They're eugenicists. They want you dead. Don't you understand that, Obama idiots? I'm sorry.
We're breaking down the guns.
Hey, yeah, the guns are coming up. We got one more segment of Idiot Calls. You got your energy news.
While we fight to retain our liberty, while we fight to expose globalism, we have to realize we're talking about a very powerful combination of power.
Renowned author and expert Joel Skousen breaks down the globalist plan to shut down America and stage a new world war.
In one day, America will go from day to night. And if you haven't prepared in advance, there's not enough time to prepare in 24 hours, even if you saw it that early.
Coming to the InfoWar in November is our new documentary film presentation.
Strategic relocation is a systematic way to think strategically in the future about how do I safeguard.
Joel Skousen, Strategic Relocation.
The freeways are going to be crowded, they're going to run out of gasoline, they're going to run out of food, and then they're going to start to go north and south of those freeways.
Joel Skousen is renowned as one of the world's foremost experts in strategic relocation and the securing of your home.
We talk about natural disasters, the health environment, we talk about pollution, the water quality. My personal experience about being in every one of these states.
Government is digging in for the organized, incremental collapse of society and world war.
The U.S. isn't building huge underground bases and bunkers because of some terrorist threat. They know that a massive nuclear attack is coming. They want that attack to come. Most people won't even be ready and won't be able to get out of town when any of these nuclear weapons fall, because there'll be absolute panic.
There is no preparedness without strategy.
What I tell people is that you do have time. Prepare wisely in advance.
This Christmas, give the gift of preparedness. Strategic Relocation, the film, with Joel Skousen and Alex Jones.
But I want to reach out post-election to the Obamanoids who got confused and lost their minds and thought they could help themselves by voting for an authoritarian. I want to reach out to Romney supporters, even the bitter clingers who thought they had to hold their nose and vote for someone who at least talked conservative. This is a power monopoly game. That's why they're coming for the guns. We're breaking that down on the other side of this break, a very important Second Amendment breakdown of how the Obama administration, the Clintanoids, the globalists, the United Nations are all coming after the guns. And they said that civilian ownership of firearms, it threatens the legitimate power monopoly of the state. You bet it does. Because all throughout history, it's a game of control. And I understand literacy has been broken down. I understand we have been dumbed down. But you've got to try to go back and read. You've got to look up history and see how much control through these authoritarians throughout history has been about disarming the population, starving them out, controlling the food supply, controlling the energy, and they're doing it all again. How did Stalin, how did Mao depopulate the areas they did? It was by withholding the food, controlling the food supply, and by disarming the population. That's how they lined them up in the pits. The Nazis did it as well. So did all the other authoritarian and socialist regimes throughout history. It's just simple dynamics of controlling the system from the top after you get everyone under one umbrella. And look again at what they're doing with energy. You've got to understand, what is Agenda 21? They want to force us into urban population centers. They say it's sustainable. It's the very opposite. The more you cram people into an area where they can't grow their own food, where you don't have property rights, the less sustainable you are. You lose all your individual power and give it over to the state. And will they protect you? No, because the Sustainable Council under President Clinton that started implementing Agenda 21 way back in 1993 was started by Ken Lay of Enron and other big power companies. It was all so they could control the supply and artificially shut it down to jack up rates while controlling your life more and more. It's all a monopoly game. You've got KKR, that's Kohlberg Kravis Roots, very big Bilderberg players, Goldman Sachs. They did the biggest ever energy buyout here in Texas. It's the TXU utility company all over those big coal plants, knowing that these new regulations were coming. Why did they do it? So they could saddle those coal plants with debt and rake off the profits. Now it's in the news just in October that the largest ever energy buyout, $45 billion, is now losing $2 billion. But the companies on Wall Street who have the insider firms, they're making $500 million in fees. You can see why they'd be interested in that. Again, Barclays traders caught in rigging electricity prices. This is what's coming under carbon, and the big monsters, the Rockefellers, the oil companies, Dutch Royal Shell, all the traders on Wall Street, the big banks who got the bailouts, they're the ones who are going to profit off of the carbon trading schemes they're forcing us onto. Anyway, I don't know if any of the Obamanoids are getting to it. We have some of them on the air. We're about to get to the big gun special on the other side, but let's see what Kim in Georgia has to say. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Aaron, for taking my call.
Appreciate it. Do you have your Obama phone?
No, well, actually, sort of. I supported Obama, and I'll tell you why.
Well, let's hear it, please.
They can go ahead and pursue their not-so-secret agenda. I think that Obama is capable of being the straw that breaks the camel's back. He's going to be the one that separates the sheep from the men. And I say let's just go ahead and get on with the inevitable.
So you voted for Obama to escalate the collapse and the divides in this country, basically, is what you're telling me.
Let's get on with it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we need to try to avert that crisis. Let's learn to help each other. Let's move towards sustainability. The more they crack down on front yard gardens or people with chickens and come and mow them down under Agenda 21 with police escort guns and smoke them out with fire and everything. I'm referring to that case in Georgia, but it happens all over under different guises. The more we need to move back to the country, help our neighbors, and start to provide for each other. Meanwhile, we need to have a big conversation about how much we're controlled by those special interests in Washington and those people on Wall Street who are getting all the financial fees off of either side of this collectivist system. That's what's really going on here. Let's real quick move to Joe in Illinois.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hi, let's hear what you have to say about Obama, please. We got about a minute.
Yeah, I supported Obama because Romney and Ryan want to cut federal jobs. Romney is pro-war. He has 6 sons, none of them serve in the military. But I wanted to ask Alex, was he racist?
Alex is not racist. This is not about people's skin colors.
Hold on.
We're going to break. Alex is here.
Listen, I don't have my headphones on, but I'm out there actually doing some work, and so I'm hearing this in the background. And yes, I am against the fact that 52% of blacks are never born.
Aaron Dykes back here at Infowars.com. In just a moment, we are going to proof that they are coming to confiscate your guns. I've been researching this very special report with Alex. I've been researching with him for over 6 years, and I'm really starting to figure this out. I hope other people out there are too. And you got to love it. Somebody calls in when they don't have an argument about the system, the way we're all game, the way they're coming after the entire population to debase us all. You got to throw out racism. The state is racist. The state hates everybody. everybody. Don't you get it? The first gun control laws in this country were so that black people could not empower themselves on the age of Jim Crow, under the age of sharecropping, so they could keep them on the system, dependent, subsistent, living just enough to play into the larger state power. People won't talk about the black genocide. If you do, that's when people start giving you the weird eye. No, we need to start talking about that, about how much the system that loves eugenics, that loves abortion, that loves birth control, hates black people. They've got plans to tie housing and benefits to people not being allowed to have babies, and they will come and induce, in some cases, in these urban centers, people into having abortions. It's just disgusting.
China one-child policy, Foxconn, and there are abortuaries in there.
Alex is saying the China one-child policy, and they disarm there, too. It happens everywhere. It's a collectivist model. It has a socialist tinge, but the fascist tinge is just as bad.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the sites, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.